Son. We've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Than when we first begun. My mother gave me a name, Bertis McGriff. In the business world, we cut it short, and I'm Bert McGriff. I grew up on a farm. My dad was tenant farmer.
He used to, we'd go to the field and work, and then Mom would go home and cook lunch, or we'd go in to eat. Bertis would get brush broom and sweep the backyards. He didn't like nothing to be messy, you know.
We played together. Oh yeah, my uncle would come up and we would play police and enemies out in the cane field. And we just played.
We've kidded and gone on and everything. He was much. He's 12 years older than me, and so he's always been good to me.
I worked on the farm till I was 18 years old. The week I turned 18, I got drafted in the military. I stayed in the Army 3 years, then come home, got a job at a gas station.
When he came home from service, we all went down to Birmingham to meet him to get off of the plane. And I guess that's about 12 then. And so they put us behind this railing. You do not go till they all get off of that plane. Well, I saw when Bertis got off, I scooted under the thing, and I went and met him halfway up till where we were supposed to be behind this thing.
I was working at this gas station. At 7 I was working there. They were service stations back in those days. You wash cars, grease cars, put tires on cars. You did everything. It wasn't just a gas station back then. It was a service station. I worked there about a year. Shell Oil come to town.
Two men watched him across the street, followed him home after a couple of days after they had observed that he was offering the best service and hustle of all the folks, and offered him an opportunity to sell them an abandoned Shell service station.
And I told them I didn't have any money, and they said, well, $1,000, we'll get you in business. Next morning, my dad gets up and goes to town. Didn't tell me anything what he's gonna do, but he borrowed me $1,000. So that's the way I started McGriff, what is named today McGriff Tire Company.
He just was a go-getter. He was a gambler. He was not afraid. Dad was never afraid to take the risk. He would just do it, and somehow it would work out.
Dad, as a parent, was he was the fun dad. Mom was the disciplinary, and Dad just had to. He was more the type that if you messed up, you got the long talk, the disappointing look. He was just a very steady, easy-going dad.
My dad was a fair dad, firm down, loving dad. But he started us in business at an early age. I mean, I started when I was 12 years old working in a retread plant.
A hard worker. He was, Dad worked all the time. I mean, Mother would always talk about You know, he was a very good provider. He was home on weekends, of course, but he worked from dawn till dark and would come in and get us up at night when he got home, and then Mom would have to get us put back to bed. But as far as a loving family relationship.
Our dad, I know, knows how much we love him, but can never repay him or thank him enough for what he has given us an opportunity. He never gave us anything for us as a silver spoon or bought us a lot of big toys or anything, but he gave us opportunities to succeed.
Customer service is the most important thing that McGriff offers. Our owner and founder has said many, many times, everybody can sell a tire, everybody's got a product. The service is where we separate ourselves from the competitors.
I think our culture is about family, and that doesn't mean my family, it means the entire McGriff Tire Company. We try to take care of our people, but we want our people to take care of our customer, because our customer is our boss. And if we are honest with our customer, take care of them, do what's right, and we feel like we will receive the benefits in the return.
So years ago, a group of individuals, and he is one of the few that are still living, this Flying 50 men got together and pulled their own money to go to New York and recruit industry for Coleman.
He did not want his children or other children to have to move up north and work, as all his friends were having to do when he got out of the service. I mean, he's been successful in many, many ways, but that to bring for the community and not just himself, I just think all those men, it was just remarkable what they did to recruit.
He has always looked beyond himself and beyond his own family. He's looked at his community as a whole. But he was always behind the scenes trying to make Coleman a better community, like developing the golf course. It was in the 1980s, interest rates were in the 20%, and he said, Coleman needs a club, a country club. They need a place for industry and business people to go and network and make decisions and learn about one another, and he took his money and did that.
The thing that I believe I would want people to remember about Mr. Burt the most is that he cares. It's not just a business decision. You're not just a business decision to him. He cares about you. He cares about your family. He cares about you as an individual.
He loves, we have extended family members that aren't truly blood related that he loves. To me, that's what he would want to be known for, is for the legacy of just being a kind person.
He's always been easygoing with most everybody, and if he could help somebody, he always would do that.
So I learned from him that people are everything. It's your relationships and those things you learn in life.
Most everybody liked him, I reckon. I never did hear anybody fussing at him or anything about it.
He's a good person. He gives to people and all.
One thing, I'd say let's go fishing.
Thank you. What a life, an opportunity he gave all of us. It's just, thank you for teaching us the values that he did. We didn't always follow them, maybe not always, but I just appreciate growing up in a home that I did. I really appreciate it. I love him dearly.
Just to know I love him.
Dad, I love you.
Dad has a big foot and 14 shoe. And I've heard many times people talk about big shoes to fill. We definitely have big shoes to fill in following Dad's legacy. You know, it's been a blessing for me just to be able to, my dad pitching the football to me early in life, of being able to help run the company. You know, I never felt like it was all about one big eye. I always felt like it was a team effort. We worked together, as we still even do today. He gave me the tools and opportunities. He's given me things that allowed me to do things, whether it's serve in the chamber office or the Trucking Association office, or even National Tire Dealers Association, to kind of be in part of our industry and give back. And it has been a blessing that I've had an opportunity that maybe a lot of folks wouldn't have had. But it's a great honor to have been his son and to be a part of this great family we have at McGriff Tire.
Oh Lord, my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands hath made, I see the stars and I hear the rolling thunder, his power throughout this universe displayed. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. When Christ shall come in shout of acclamation, he'll take me home, and what joy will fill my heart. There I shall bow in the humble adoration, and there proclaim, my God, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art.
to remember this wonderful man. For those of you I haven't met, I'm Warren, and I was blessed, along with Stephen, Randall, Patrick, Taylor, Kyle, Alex, and Leah, to call him Papa. You know, it's funny, God works in mysterious ways. Saturday was a tough day. It was a tough day for this family. And I'm in Virginia, so couldn't get down right away. And so Sunday I decided, best way to remember Papa is go to the golf course. And I went to a chipping green. I hadn't been out there 5 minutes, and I heard a voice, say, "Hey, do you mind if me and my grandson join you? It's our first time. It's his first time." And then yesterday, I was sitting on a plane. I knew I wanted to speak today, and I was struggling to figure out where to begin. I hit shuffle on a random playlist on my phone, and the first song that came on was "How They Remember You" by Rascal Flatts. I doubt Papa was a Rascal Flatts fan. He probably had no idea who he was or who they were. But I found it fitting. And I began asking myself, how would he be remembered, and how do I even put it into words? So for starters, he was an amazing, loving husband to Mimi of 63 years. He was an incredible father, a grandfather, and a great-grandfather. He was a joyful friend, a mentor, and a successful businessman. However, that was just the outcome. That's not how he got there. He arrived at that outcome by living his meaningful and purposeful life to the fullest, based on 2 guiding principles. And that was work hard and be good to people. It seems real simple, but those 2 things, those 2 principles, can be very difficult to fulfill. He exceeded them. He loved people. If you asked him what business he was in, he would tell you, "I'm in the customer service business. I just happen to sell tires." That's an easy catchphrase to adopt for a lot of people, but that's one he truly embraced. So yes, he was a successful man, but that was just a vehicle that he built for himself to touch so many. His success was built upon his work ethic, his kind and gentle and generous soul, and that's the legacy he leaves behind. I'm sure each of you here today have experienced one of his warm greetings, with his trademark smile. There was something about it that just made you feel good inside. That's how you'll be remembered, Papa. You will be missed, but the thought of your reunion with Mimi brings us rejoice. We love you, I love you, and it was an honor to be a part of your beautiful life.
Good stuff. Well, that's a good way to start. Well, as crazy as it sounds, this is probably one of the easiest funerals I can do, because I feel like I'm actually telling the truth. So it'll be funny. Everything you said a lot more eloquent than I can, because what he said was 1,000% true. Mr. Bert, Brother Bert, I don't know what to call him. But he probably started with our church 4 or 5 years ago. And, he's a real cool senior adult if he comes to our church. Believe it or not, he was 94, and he's not the oldest senior adult we got. We got another lady, 96. I'm like, good Lord, we doing good. He's one of the most gentle men, and gentleness is a strength. A lot of men aren't gentle because they think it's weak. Gentleness is a strength. And everybody was drawn to him. Everybody respected him. Everybody honored him, not because of his title or his name in Coleman, but just because of his character, the way he presented himself in front of people. And, you know, one of the fruits of the Spirit is gentleness. And the reason why God calls us to walk in gentleness is because people will honor people who are gentle. And he's incredibly genuine and kind. And I've always said that prayerfully, if the Lord allows me to make it to be a senior adult, which is right around the corner, it ain't far, that I look like Bert McGriff. Because he displayed the genuine character of somebody I would like to be when I get older. I don't want to be stuffy. I don't want to be grouchy. I want to go sit down and enjoy Jack's coffee with all the other senior adults and laugh and be like him. You know, if you're here today, how many of you got a nickel from anybody get a nickel from? Okay, that's about everybody in here. I don't know. He cut down a lot of trees to get those wooden nickels made. But I got several of them. I'm piled up with wooden nickels. And, you know, that was always his favorite thing to do, I think, is to hand out nickels and stuff. But, you know, he said lots of things that was wise. I mean, just incredibly wise. He'd always say things like, if you're a part of a group, then lead it. He didn't say just be a part of it. He said, then lead it. I always thought that was incredible. I thought that was interesting. I think it's true. You know, I remember going and sitting down and eating lunch with him one day, and in tears, he told me about when he gave his life to Christ, basically in the war, and was in a foxhole, had bullets going all around him, and he cried out to God and said, God, I'm yours, because he really didn't think he was going to make it out of there that day. He said his life was changed ever since then. Taught me all about hard work. I really think that he was probably more intrigued with our church more than he liked it. I don't know. Because honestly, we just listened to this video and knowing him, we had a lot of the same core values. We had people is first. People are always first. And, you know, just who he is and what he's about. We always got along good. And you can't, listen, if there's people that's an enemy of Bert McGriff, they got the issue. Because they ain't nobody he's a great human. And he's somebody we can all model. And I'm hoping that everybody got a part of him in your life that carries on in your life, the good stuff. There wasn't much bad stuff, the good stuff, so that you can go on and live out his legacy, some of the things maybe he taught you. You know, one of the things I just want to just share real quick, and I share a lot of this at funerals a lot of times just because I feel like everybody's experienced it some way, form, or fashion. But, you know, I have people ask me all the time, well, why do bad things happen to good people? And, you know, I would love to just give you the straight up answer. I'll be honest with you. I don't have the answer. So you're like, well, why did you even ask that question? Why did you even start off that way? Well, I do believe I can give you some results if you go down that rabbit hole of what can happen. I think I can help you out a little bit because I believe everybody in this room has had some sort of question like that in this world. Why do bad things happen to good people? Because there's not a person in this room, there's not one person in this room that hasn't had something horrific happen in your life. Not one. Everybody has had something horrific happen. And so when bad things happen, man, we have questions just fly up everywhere. We have all kinds of questions. And a lot of times when bad things happen, even church people, even good Christian people, we go straight to God first. We begin to ask him questions. And honestly, a lot of times, because our pain and because we're angry and because we're hurting, we need to find somebody to blame because it feels like it relieves the pain. And usually the first person to get the blame is God, most of the time. It's always funny how the enemy never gets blamed for that. And so the one thing I know for a fact is that when something horrific happens, I know that the enemy loves to play dirty. He's a dirty fighter. He is below the belt. He does not fight clean. He's dirty. So what he wants to do is he wants to cause you to have questions toward God. And there's a great possibility there are people in this room right now that really struggle with who God is because something might have happened in your life 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 2 years ago, 2 weeks ago. You're really frustrated with him. You've really had nothing to do with him because you feel like he allowed something to happen in your life. And in reality, it really wasn't God. See, the thing about it is God tells us in Scripture that bad things are going to happen. We can't dodge it. In this world, years ago, sin started in this world with Adam and Eve. And because when sin started in this world, the Bible says very plainly that this world was cursed. Cursed with sin. So because it was cursed with sin, we experienced things we're having to grieve today, have a hard time with Mr. Burt. Death happens. Pain happens. Emotional pain, mental pain, physical pain. Things happen because the world was cursed because of sin. And God knew that. So what did he do? He sent his baby boy, sent Jesus to come down on the cross to reverse the curse so that we can walk in freedom, so we can walk in life. But the big picture is that Jesus knew that pain would be in our lives, every one of us. It's going to happen. That's why he said this verse in John 16:33. He's talking to his disciples, and he says this. He says, I have told you all of this so that you may have peace in me. You know, there's a great possibility there's a lot of people in this room that's searching for peace. And man, you can search everywhere you want to. Really, the only place you can ever find true peace, like lasting peace, is only in Jesus. That's it. Now, that's a whole other message in and of itself. I won't go down there, chase rabbits, all right? He goes on to say, I've told you all this, that you may have peace in me. Here on this earth, you'll have many trials and sorrows. Not a few, not every blue moon, not every now and then, but many. In other words, that's a lot. We're all going to experience a lot of heartache, some of us horrific things, tough things, trials. He says this, he says, but take heart when those trials come, when those sorrows come, when difficult times come. Take heart because I've overcome the world. In other words, what he's saying is this, is that when you go through tough times, and you will, some of you might be having a great day today. You've had a great time, but there will be a time that it will come. Maybe some of you are going through a difficult time. I know a lot of us are. But here's what he's saying. He says, when you go through difficult times, don't listen to the enemy that's a dirty fighter, because he's going to do everything he can to get you to run from me. What God's going to say and speaking to you is saying, instead of running away from me, during horrific times, run to me. Crawl up underneath my chest. Let me wrap you up. Let me hold you. Because here's what he's saying. I've overcome the world. In other words, everything you're going through, I've experienced. And if there's anybody in this world that knows how you feel, Jesus said it would be me. So while the world and while the enemy's screaming at you, hey, you need to run from God. Why would a loving God allow something like this to happen? Why would he do that? Well, that's the enemy's lies. Because what does he want? He wants you to run from God. Why? Because you can only find peace in this world only through God. So if you run from him, where are you going to find peace? Where are you going to find hope? Where are you going to find satisfaction? Where are you going to find purpose? Nowhere. Job ain't going to produce purpose. Materials ain't going to produce purpose. Things don't produce purpose. People don't really produce purpose. Only Jesus. So he says, run to him. Crawl up underneath his chest. Let him wrap you up. Let him hold you in the middle of it. Because when you do, that's where you find hope. Now here's the things that happen when you run from God. Because you're angry with him and you're frustrated. It causes you to be bitter. You know, the word bitterness in the Bible, in the original translation, the word really means, it's like acid that eats you from the inside out. And not only are you not pleasant for yourself, but you're really not pleasant with anybody else. I mean, it's bitterness. Not only does it make you bitter, bitterness turns into angry. Anger. You become very, very angry. Now, on the outside, everybody else may look at you and like, man, they just as happy as they can be. But deep down inside, and when you get by yourself or when you get with other people that know you best, that's when your anger flies. The enemy starts doing a number on you when you're running from God and not running to him, crawling up underneath his chest. And it causes so many other things. You know, people will hurt you. There's a great possibility people are in here struggling with unforgiveness. Unforgiveness will tear you to shreds. It'll kill you. That's why you need to learn how on this earth, I don't mean be best friends, buddies, fist bump, high five, elbow bump these days. But what I am saying is you got to let them off the hook. Because while somebody's controlling you today because they did something to you a long time ago, they're controlling you today and who you are today. They ain't thinking about you. They're on the other side of the world doing their own thing, and you still controlled by them. These same people could die before you, be 6 foot under the ground, and still controlling you because you never let them off the hook. You never forgave them. And it's eating you up. You ain't got time for that in this world. You got a short life. Let me throw something out there to you, okay? Let me just help you out if you got some anger stirred up inside of you. If you've got, unforgiveness, which produces anger. If that's you, here, let me just give you something to do. Now, I don't know how many people take me up on this, and I share it all the time. Now, here's what I challenge you to do. Is when you're by yourself at your house, all right? Now, look, if you're not by yourself, people won't think you're a nut job, okay? Get by yourself. If you're struggling with anger, you're frustrated, you're mad at God, if that's you, get at your house by yourself. Go to your bedroom, lay on the bed, and play pretend like your bed, your mattress, is the chest of God. And I want you to take your fist, beat the chest of God, let him know exactly how you feel. Because listen, God's got his big boy britches on. He already knows it's there. He wants you to let it out. Let him know exactly how you feel. Beat the chest of God. Scream, yell, do whatever you feel like he needs to know about your frustration. And when you're wore out, you can't beat the chest of God anymore. Your voice is about gone because you're hoarse from yelling, letting him know all the things you're frustrated about. And you can't move anymore. Your energy's gone. Why don't you do what he's been wanting to do the whole entire time? Why don't you just lay in the chest of God and let him hold you for a while? Because that's really what he wants to do. Because he's passionate about you. He knows that the anger, the frustration, things that you have is ruining your life. And you're not living it to full potential. You can't let people control you. You can't let people that don't even care about you today control you. You got to walk in freedom. Whenever I used to do student ministry and singles in college at the church I was at before. We started here in Coleman, Desperation Church. I remember I'd have to go to a lot of my students' funerals when they lose a grandparent or lose somebody that I didn't know. I didn't have a clue who it was. I just went there to support the kid or support the people that's in our ministry. And it's amazing how I would go support a student who had a grandfather or grandmother that had passed away. And this happened more than once, but it's always funny how God spoke to me at funerals where I didn't know people. I didn't know the person that had passed away. I just knew the kid. I remember I'd usually sit in the back, and it's amazing how God would begin to speak to me. And, I remember one time specifically, the person that had passed away was 88 years old. And however old I was, I remember God speaking to me about the person that's there and said, hey, and you know that they were, I'm 48 now, that they were 48 years at one time. They were 48 years old at one time. And now they're 88. They lived a long, good life. 88, I would think would be great. This is what God would say to me. He said they were 44 at one time. This is what he'd say. He said, you think that first 44 went fast? Wait till that second 44. And Andy, you've probably lived most of your life. There's a great possibility, 48 years old, I've lived most of my life. If I live to be 96, holy cow, somebody get me a wheelchair. And so, Andy, you probably lived majority of your life. So, Andy, do not waste your life. That's, I'd hear it. I would sit back there and weep because God would speak to me and say, don't waste your life. Don't waste your life. Don't waste your life. Don't waste your life. And the only way you don't waste your life is when you put everything you have into who Jesus is and into his character. Whenever I begin to really tap into who God is. Listen, I lived most of my front of my life asking questions of, my God, there's got to be more to life than this. Then I discovered Jesus and he changed my life. But even in walking with Jesus, you can still waste your life. And so God said, hey, don't waste your life anymore. Live it completely, sold out, 100% for me. Because when you do, you'll find life. You'll find life. You know where you find life is when you walk in the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control. I don't meet a lot of church people like carry all those things. A lot of church people mean. Y'all supposed to laugh. Y'all scared, ain't you? Like, are you talking about you, brother? But those are things that leave legacies. It's not your legacy. It's not your name. It's not Andy Heiss. You leave a legacy of Jesus behind. So I tell you today, if you're here and you haven't forgiven somebody, don't waste your life. Let them go. You ain't got long. You ain't got time to waste your life on unforgiveness. Now, look, I know that I don't know everything that everybody in this room has gone through. I understand. I know you've gone through a hard time. Somehow or another, you got to let them off the hook. And I know it's a lot easier for a preacher to say that than it is to do it. But you can't. Let them go. You angry? You got anger, hate stirred up in you? Your life is way too short to let anger control you. Too short. Listen, you didn't wake up one day and just roll out of bed. It's like, hey, I think I'm going to live the rest of my life angry. You know what happened? Somebody hurt you in the past. Something happened. Somehow or another, you got to start closing some doors. You got to go back and let God close some doors in your life so that you can not walk in anger anymore and be somebody God's called you to be. Live out your life on purpose. Are you bitter? Why? You you got one little old short life in this earth. One short life. One. Why live your life bitter? Why don't we smile more? Why don't we choose kindness? Because kindness is a choice. Why don't we choose kindness more? Why don't we be like Mr. Burt and do everything we can, even though we might not have a business to deal with customers. We just look at everybody as like a customer. We look at everybody as like a customer of heaven. I'm gonna be kind to people. I'm gonna love people. I'm gonna be gentle with people. Because if not, then you're wasting your life. You really are. And I would challenge you with everything that I am. Man, don't waste your life on the negative things. Man, focus on who God is. Let Jesus be everything in your life. Go turn the world upside down. If you're still standing on this earth, I don't care how old you are in this place or how young you are. If you're still on this earth, your feet are still planted on this ground, and you still got air in your lungs and your heart still beating, you got a chance to turn the world upside down. You still got time to do something with your life. I don't care who you are. My grandmother died at 96 years old. She didn't have a car. I never knew her to drive. She basically just lived in her house. Not unless somebody came and picked her up. But she always was sitting on the end of her bed. She would read the paper. If she found out that something like this is how she made a difference in her house. When she would read the paper and she would see somebody that lost a child or saw somebody that had been hurt or murdered in the community, you know what she'd do? I don't know how she did it. It's kind of creepy. She'd find out their address and she'd write them a letter about how she's praying for them. Didn't even know who they were, how much she loved them. And then she'd send like a gospel tract, send it to them. She'd sit on the end of her couch. We had a couch where you had two cushions that were level and the other one like level down because she'd been sitting in that thing all day. And she'd sit there and make baby booties, like little shoes, and make Afghans. Man, they were itchy. They were really, really itchy. But man, she made them because she loved people. And every time she found out somebody was having a baby that she didn't even know, she'd give us some booties and an Afghan, like take it to these people. She made a difference without just sitting in her house. She did more than that, by the way. There's a lot. She did stuff all the time. So I'd say, go turn the world upside down. Don't waste your life. I don't care how old you are, you got time. Ask God to help you. He will. Hey, don't be so stubborn and prideful that you can't find somebody that's safe and tell them, man, I got issues. I want somebody to help me. It'd be amazing what God can do with you. There's not a person in this room that can't be used. Not one. God didn't put you on this earth to take up space. God did not put you on this earth to take up space. God put you on this earth to make a difference, to be salt and light, to be used. And everybody can be used. No matter what the enemy's told you, that's a lie. I don't care who you are. The worse your past is, the better you can be used. And that's the truth. That's the truth. I got to stop. There's so much more I could say. Some of y'all are like, thank God. Get on down. I love Mr. Burt. I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss where he sits. I knew he loved Jesus when he poured coffee all over himself and didn't cuss. Me and Miss Ellen saw that, didn't we? Man, hot coffee too. I've never seen a man 94 years move that fast. He's an incredible man. I miss him like crazy. I love him. Let's live out some of the incredible traits that he's shown us, okay? Let me pray, and then one of his favorite songs, they're going to sing, and the family's going to head out, okay, in the middle of the song. Father, we love you. We honor you. We praise you. Lord, this is a difficult time. Lord, there's lots of questions that we may have, not about maybe so much Bert, but maybe just so many other things in life. God, I don't know if we'll be able to answer all the questions. We can't. If we could, then we'd be God. We're not God. God, I just pray we trust you. We have faith. We trust in who you say you are. And that, well, God, we put our faith in you. And God, we don't run from you. That God, we crawl up underneath you. You pull us in close to your chest and you hold us. Because there's times in our life that we really, really need that. God, I need it every day. And so, Lord, I just ask that you'd bless this family. I pray for the same hands that created the universe will be the same hands that hold them right now because you're such a personal God. God, we glorify you, we honor you, we love you, and we praise you, Jesus, in your name. Amen.
Some glad morning when this life is o'er, I fly away to a home on God's celestial shore.